Today on the show, we're going to talk about my top 5 favourite cartoons that are based off of comic books. Both Marvel and DC have been no stranger to the world of animation since 1966. So let's just get started. At number 5 we have Static Shock, which came out in the year 2000. I really like this cartoon. I mean, most cartoons that are based in the DC animated universe are really high quality, and they have to be because all of them are linked, so if one flops, they all flop. I actually think that's why the more risky shows, such as the Teen Titans, were given their own universe and their own continuity to work with. But still, nonetheless, Static Shock was a lot of fun. An interesting point is that Richie from the Static Shock cartoon is actually an adaptation of a character called Rick Stone, who was in the comic. Now, for all of you that don't know about Rick, Rick was actually Virgil's best friend in the Static Shock comic, and probably the reason he didn't make it over to the cartoon was because he was openly homosexual, and there was a really important gay rights storyline around him, and that would have just been a place you did not go in a children's cartoon in the year 2000. This being said, Richie's love life and sexuality wasn't really explored, and I honestly think if the cartoon was made this year or next year or sometime around this time period, we would have an openly gay character in a superhero cartoon. All in all, Static Shock is a lot of fun to watch. It holds up to this day. It's very colourful, very bright, but a lot of serious, groundbreaking storylines that could have been moved over were totally ignored, and that's why it gets number 5. At number 4 we have the 90s SpiderMan series. Now, I remember in my last year of school, because I've actually been out of school for quite a while now, and I turned around to all of my friends and I was like, do you remember this Spider-Man cartoon? It was on TV like in the 90s, and all of them looked at me like I was crazy. So I actually went through like half a year debating whether this series actually existed or not, and I didn't care enough to Google it. I do remember watching the show on Fox Kids because they would always play 1 episode in the morning before school, and 3 episodes at night, and that was awesome. So as you can tell, this series is really nostalgic for me, so I tried to go back and re-watch it. And when I was young, I didn't really notice that they reused a lot of animation and there was a lot of bad lip syncing. And that's why, now that I'm an adult, this series is quite hard to watch. Nonetheless, a lot of my earliest memories come from watching this series, and every single one of them are happy, and that's why it gets number 4. Halfway through and we're at number 3, and we have the 90s X-Men cartoon. Now, this one was actually a toss-up between the 90s X-Men and X-Men Evolution, and the 90s X-Men fortunately won out. Very recently, I rewatched this entire series on Netflix, and I remember it being a lot better than it actually is, but it still holds up. Yes, okay, there are plenty of animation errors, and the voice acting is voices, but it's still really fun to watch. The way that they display the storylines makes this series really addictive, and you can't just watch one episode, you have to watch one, then another one, then another one, and another one, and before you know it, it's 5 in the morning on a Saturday, you still haven't slept from Thursday, and you're still watching X-Men. So through all the animation errors and subpar voice acting, this series remains very addictive, and that's why it's at number 3. At number 2, we have the Teen Titans. Now, all of you who frequently watch my videos know that I love the Teen Titans more than the average fan. At one point during high school, I would read a Teen Titans comic in the morning, and then for lunch, I would take my iPod, find somewhere totally quiet and abandoned, and watch an episode of Teen Titans on that. Like, everything Teen Titans is a really big deal for me, but for the sake of this video, we're just gonna focus on the animation. Now, I remember being so excited for the Teen Titans cartoon. Every time the "coming soon" advert would come on, I would run into my living room and watch it. It didn't matter that I'd watched it so many times over, I was excited. I like how the characters in the Teen Titans cartoon maintain their secret identity at all times. Like, it made them more relatable, because if you had to juggle between calling someone Garfield and Beast Boy, it just kind of puts that distance there, especially in animation. but because you just have to think, oh, that's Beast Boy, he just becomes more relatable. What I don't like about this series is how the cancellation came about. I felt it was very, very sudden. This being said, now that I'm older and I've actually got to meet a number of people that actually worked on the show, I do accept that the writers for the show were struggling with ideas, the actors weren't exactly as passionate about it, so they did need that break between the Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go. As a side note, I do enjoy Teen Titans Go, I don't understand the hate around it. It feels very much like the Tiny Titans, the teenage years, which is a lot of fun. What I would like to see in the future is 1 or 2 more seasons of the Teen Titans cartoon just to wrap things up and give everyone closure on the ending of the series. Because really that's the only other thing I want from that cartoon. Nonetheless, the Teen Titans was an amazing series and it stayed with its fans through the years, and that's why it gets number 2. Now, I know a number of you are probably thinking, Faust, we thought you loved the Teen Titans. What the hell could number 1 be? Well, at number 1 we have the Batman. Now, I don't know many people that watched this series, but the series ran from 2004 till 2008, so it wasn't exactly a short-lived thing. What I really liked about this series is how it had a strong mix of the detective with the action. I mean, Batman first appeared in Detective Comics, and so many adaptations act like he first appeared in Beat Up the Bad Guys While in a Spandex Batsuit comics. Also, this is the first animated version of Dick Grayson that really understood that Dick Grayson is the king of sass. I would have loved to have seen the series run for a little bit longer. I want to see an animated version of Barbara taking a bullet to the spine. We haven't seen that in cartoon form yet, and it will be so dramatic. Nonetheless, I understand that the series wasn't overly popular from the beginning, and we were lucky to have it run for as long as it did. Lots of people try and compare the Batman to Batman the Animated Series, and I don't think that's really fair. I mean, I don't get how you can compare the two of them. I mean, that's like trying to compare a kitten to bubble wrap. All in all, I really enjoyed this series probably equally to the Teen Titans cartoon, and everyone should check it out if they haven't seen it before. Nonetheless, this series was a lot of fun, and it's done something that only it and the Teen Titans cartoon have done really, really well, where they adapt the source material, do their own thing with it, and it really works. And that's why it gets number 1. It's super effective! Okay guys, that is it for today. Please let me know your favorite comic book cartoons in the comments down below, and also don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe. My name is Faust, this has been Exploring Comics, and it is super effective.